will they call it unnecessary?
You know you're my guy, but
who does more than us?
I'm talking to you.
After the fever
I ain't
score,
answering no Caitlyn Clark questions.
did she say anything to you?
I don't know what she said.
We gotta give a huge shout out to the women of the WNBA, because if you told me a year ago that I would be making a new video on the WNBA once every week, then I would say you're absolutely out of your mind. But it's entertaining, the drama surrounding it is insane, and the quality of basketball has definitely taken a step up. So before we get to the content, my apologies. I really should be resting right now. My voice is still recovering from some sort of mystery cold that I got. I'm pretty sure it was COVID. I didn't really take a COVID test. I'm just trying to power through this. I apologize if my voice sounds weird, but I really wanted to grind for you guys and make this push to 1 million subscribers. So if you're not subscribed, make sure you do to help us make this push to 1 million. And now that we got all that out of the way, cue the intro. This is practically free money. To celebrate game 1 of the NBA Finals, PrizePicks is giving us a free square. All Jason Tatum needs is 1 point in the first game of the NBA Finals. To give you the best advantage, I highly recommend you enter these picks ASAP, because the closer you get to the game, the more likely the lines are going to get slimmer and slimmer. First, download PrizePicks and use my promo code FlightMike to get up to $100 of your deposit matched, and then enter this pick for game 1. Obviously, we're going to go with Jason Tatum. He's clearly going to get a point, but Derek Lively has always been able to get over 16.5 points, rebounds, and assists when he's been fully healthy. We're going to pick more on this. And then if you want to get really spicy, Derek White should easily be able to get 23.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He's done that for the last 5 games. I'm going to put $25 to win $125. And I give away additional picks on my Instagram story at TheFlightMike, but make sure you're followed there as well. And thank you, PrizePicks, for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? From the moment that Caitlyn Clark got drafted into the Indiana Fever, there was drama that surrounded her, which is absolutely insane when you consider what some of this drama was. The very first bit of info that we got was the amount that this woman was going to get paid in the WNBA, which when compared to Victor Wembanyama looks like pennies on the dollar. Caitlyn Clark went viral for having a $76,000 salary for this WNBA season. Now, this doesn't include the endorsements that she would be receiving, but that was just her base salary. Very similarly to how Victor Wembanyama is getting paid $12 million to play basketball this year. But the WNBA understood that they potentially had their most marketable star of all time. So she showed up to the WNBA draft dressed up in Prada, and she got this crazy shoe deal with Nike that pays her $28 million throughout the life of the deal, easily making her the highest paid WNBA player of all time when you consider endorsements and all. So you would think all of her peers would be celebrating this, right? What a wonderful day for women. A player gets drafted into a league that was considered to be a boring laughingstock of basketball. A league where NBA legends were suggesting to its stars that they should consider lowering the rim to make it more entertaining.
You think if we just lower the rim so y'all can dunk like we dunk, that'll give y'all more oomph than you already have?
No.
Why can't we lower the goal to at least 9.5 feet?
The game will get more watch if the rims were a little bit shorter.
But instead, the exact opposite happened. It's crazy to me because all the things that the WNBA has been working towards is actually in progress right now. I mean, Darren Waller's ex-girlfriend was complaining about the pay gap in the WNBA versus the NBA, at least in terms of merchandise sales.
In the NBA, they have percentages of revenue shared for the players, right? So jersey sales, obviously their TV contracts. You see these every year, these contracts get bigger and bigger and bigger. It's one of those things that we are not asking to get paid what the men get paid. We're asking to get paid the same percentage of revenue shared.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Got it. So that's a huge misconception.
That's a huge misconception.
Got it. Okay.
For sure.
Yeah, because every video is like, oh, this person gets paid this person gets paid that, right?
So I want to be really clear about that. Like, I don't think I should get paid the same as LeBron.
Right.
But the percentage of revenue, like, for example, they sell my jersey in Mandalay Bay, I don't get a dime.
You don't get any money from jersey sales?
That's crazy.
No way.
So that's
What?
why it's like
Image and likeness.
Okay,
Exactly.
yeah.
But now you're seeing players like Asia Wilson getting sponsorships from Gatorade. Of course, there's the aforementioned Caitlyn Clark shoe deal with Nike. Progress is definitely being made. You're even seeing the WNBA taking chartered flights now, which in of itself I think is ironic because WNBA players are complaining about their pay, and it costs almost as much to take chartered flights to games as it does to pay the WNBA players. So in theory, you could be paying the WNBA players twice as much money if you didn't take chartered flights, but that's besides the point. In our last video, we discussed how Caitlyn Clark's pretty and white privilege is the reason why she is dominating the WNBA and the reason why people care about her.
I do think that there is a thing called pretty privilege. There is a thing called white privilege. There is a thing called tall privilege. Part of it is about race. Caitlyn Clark is bringing this money, these sponsorships, we hope, into the league, and other players will benefit from it. But I do think that she is more relatable to more people because she's white.
So all of this led to the joke that Caitlyn Clark is essentially the Jackie Robinson of the WNBA, which the internet's undefeated for that. But believe it or not, you would think after this all went down, people would stop attacking Caitlyn Clark. In our last video, I brought up this clip of someone trying to aggressively foul Caitlyn Clark, which is crazy because you would think that they would do everything they possibly can to make sure Caitlyn Clark is okay so people could continue caring about the WNBA. But no, as a matter of fact, they're trying to hurt her as much as possible. And the latest example is in her game versus the Chicago Sky, which is a very exciting game. The drama behind Caitlyn Clark versus the Chicago Sky is very interesting because the Chicago Sky is the team that drafted Angel Reese. Now, for those of you guys that don't remember, women's basketball went absolutely viral during the 2023 women's NCAA tournament, where Caitlyn Clark was shooting the lights out, and eventually it led to a national championship matchup between Angel Reese and the LSU Tigers and Caitlyn Clark and the Iowa Hawkeyes. And this was awesome. I mean, you saw Angel Reese consistently taunting Caitlyn Clark. Obviously, LSU was able to win in the 2023 national championship. There would be a rematch in the 2024 tournament where Caitlyn Clark would actually beat Angel Reese. But this started a cool rivalry between the two, and it elevated women's basketball to where it is. So obviously, now that these two players are drafted, people are going to be following their basketball careers. And this game was very testy between the Chicago Sky and the Indiana Fever. And in the middle of the game, Kennedy Carter does something insane. I mean, take a look at this clip. Indiana Fever is going out to inbound. Out of nowhere, Carter decides to take Caitlyn Clark down to the ground. I mean, literally cross-checks her onto the ground. The funniest part about all this is, look at Angel Reese's reaction on the bench when this happens. I mean, they're getting up and they're excited the moment this went down. Now, Angel Reese would even go to Kennedy Carter and hug her and pretty much praise her for doing this. And everyone was confused why this would happen. Was it because Caitlyn Clark is pretty and white and not gay? I mean, the fact that this is going down is absolutely insane to me, because you have a player that is actually making people care about the WNBA, and it seems like the women that are facing off against her are just jealous of it happening. And my only thought process is, would you rather Caitlyn Clark doesn't exist and no one care about your sport than for it to exist and people start caring about your sport? No one would even know who Kennedy Carter is if it wasn't for this incident with Caitlyn Clark. And I think my favorite part about the WNBA is the drama that comes with it, because they interviewed Carter on this situation and her reaction was, it was so melodramatic.
After the Fever
I didn't
score,
answer no Caitlyn Clark questions.
did she say anything to you?
I don't know what she said.
What'd you say to her?
I didn't say anything.
That's enough.
I ain't answering no Caitlyn Clark questions.
And then on top of this, you had Angel Reese, who didn't even give a post-game interview.
All started from the national championship game, and I've been dealing with this for 2 years now. And understanding, like, yeah, negative things have probably been said about me, but honestly, I'll take that, because look where women's basketball is. People are talking about women's basketball, but you never would think that we'd be talking about women's basketball. People are pulling up to games. We got celebrities coming to games, sold out arenas, like, just because of one single game. And just looking at that, like, I'll take that role. I'll take the bad guy role, and I'll continue to take that on and be that for my teammates. And if I want to be that, and I know I'll go down in history, I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that.
Now, people are speculating the reason why this went down is Caitlyn Clark may have elbowed Kennedy Carter when she was going for a rebound, but that clearly didn't look like it was intentional. I mean, at least from my perspective. But to Caitlyn Clark's credit, she's really taking this situation in stride. My favorite part about this entire scenario is the way mainstream media is covering it. I mean, on First Take, you had this back and forth between Monica McNutt and Stephen A. Smith.
About to WNBA who talks about women, women's sports more than First Take.
Stephen A., respectfully, with your platform, you could have been doing this 3 years ago if you wanted to.
Wow.
There's this huge misconception that if you have a platform, you could have been covering this sport that nobody cared about 3 years ago. The fact of the matter is people are interested in what they're interested in, and it's up to people on First Take or even someone smaller like me to figure out what you guys are interested in and make content on it. Meaning that if I made videos on the WNBA 3 years ago, no one was going to watch. I mean, yeah, I have a few here and there, but it's not like Stephen A. Smith could have been talking about the WNBA 3 years ago and all of a sudden they'd have an audience. And that's a huge misconception in today's day and age. It's mainly Stephen A. Smith's job and also my job to figure out what you guys like and create content on it. And that's usually how we decide to make what we make each and every day on this channel. But Monica McNutt's right. Stephen A. Smith could have been making content on this years ago. He just chose not to, probably because he didn't think his audience would care. At least that's the reason I didn't make content on it years ago. But probably my favorite bit of commentary of all, which people are a little pissed off about, by the way, is Pat McAfee's take on this.
Media people that continue to say, this rookie class, this rookie class, this rookie class. Nah, just call it for what it is. There's one white bitch for the Indiana team who is a superstar. And is it because she stayed in Iowa, put an entire state on her back, took a program from nothing to a multiple year success story? Is it because she would go on to break the entire points records in the history of the NCAA? Not just the women's record by Kelsey Plum, shout out, but also Pistol Pete Maravich's, the dude's record as well. Is there a chance that people just enjoy watching her play basketball because how electrifying she is, what she did, what she stood for, how she went about going, what she went for? Maybe. But instead, we have to hear people say that we only like her because she's white.
And look, for context, as a guy that has Pat McAfee's jersey on his wall, that watches his show a lot of people thought that this was a little messed up to say, but if you look at the entire clip for context, that's just the way he runs his show. He calls him and his boys idiots. You'll call Ian Rappaport a but I could also understand why this one clip in of itself is crazy. But I guess since I consume his content so much, I'm like, okay, that's typical of him. But regardless, I think this situation is absolutely insane. I don't understand why WNBA players and women aren't celebrating this woman and trying to leverage the fact that she has clout into creating careers for themselves. If you're sharing a basketball court with Caitlyn Clark, people are going to be watching her and they're also going to be watching you. It's a great opportunity for women to finally take the next step forward as female athletes and get the WNBA more popularity, which I'm all for, by the way. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about all this, man. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.